Hello, artist. I am Josie, and today I want to do with you all the 5 techniques that I talk about in the starter guide for alcohol ink. If you didn't put your hands on it yet, it is in the description below. It's a simple download from my website. Let's start. 5 simple technique, just a drip and see how it react on your paper. Sometimes paper can be different from one brand to the other, and the alcohol ink, the little bottle, the pigmentation and the proportion of the ratio of the liquid and pigmentation will be different and react different on your paper. So I like to always start with just seeing how it reacts. Then we'll use our dust blower. Nothing fancy, no hair dryer for the starter guide, nothing like that. And we're gonna blend colors together, and we're gonna do soft edge, and we're gonna create some cells. Now, let's get started. Okay, let's switch right here. It's just a simple little case, and in it I have this. We're not really gonna need it today. I'll put this aside. I always keep paper towel even though they get dirty. At some point I need to get rid of them, but I have my parchment paper. I have my protector for my table. It's just a silicone mat. My paper, 9 by 12. This is a Nara. I already said I love Nara paper, but there's tons of brand out there. Just choose the one that works for you. My dust blower, and I'm gonna choose 2 colors. I'm gonna choose one. Let's have a nice golden, not gold, golden yellow, and from Piñata. And let's choose what would be pretty with the. Let's have a nice green or blue. How about a blue, but from a brand that is a little cheaper? There, navy and yellow. So I just want you to see how they are different. And yes, I do buy all type of ink. I have Piñata. I do have Kaminskaya that I really like all the range of color of Kaminskaya. They're really amazing. Something I really enjoy is have my little tea. Okay, so you can start by cleaning your paper with isopropyl alcohol, or simply dust your surface. This is isopropyl alcohol that I'm going to use 99%. Again, all the supply I use, I have a full-on description in my previous video. It's called Alcohol Ink Supply Starter Guide, something like that. It's going to be in the description. Now I like to have my little paper so I can open on top of it, because sometimes it just splash everywhere, especially those cheaper bottle. There's something about the tip that it tend to splash everywhere. I don't think you can see, but there is tiny mini drops right beside. I'll try to show you. Yeah, you can see those tiny little drops. I cannot touch the paper, but so I'm gonna have to wash it if I don't want it there. Now it's just a practice paper. It's just to show you technique, so it doesn't really matter. And let's have a drop of yellow. You just want to see how they react to your paper. And you don't have really need to do that once you know what you have and your material. This is just to show you that ink will react differently. Those two seems to be pretty much the same. There's no. Now I'm just washing those little dots. What if I put a little bit of isopropyl alcohol in it? Just let observe what happened. This one is creating some uneven edge, and this one, the edge are a little nicer. Okay, so that is just our first step. It's just like try to discover how your ink react and how they move. And actually, I'm not gonna touch this one anymore with my pump. I'm gonna let it dry so you can see. I'm not sure this one's gonna be dark enough for you to see on the camera. I'm gonna use a Ranger. One drop in. I think you're gonna see better. And this one, I'm gonna dry it so you can see the line that it will make in it and the design. Something I like to do is to create swatch, color swatch. Every time I receive new colors, I will put them on my paper and I will write the name of the color and the brand because I don't know if you can see right here, the pink. The pink has a different color when it's dry than when it's wet. Let me turn that light a little bit. Aha, might be better. So sometimes the color you expect is not the color that you get. So the color swatch is very helpful if you're doing something very precise. Someone asks you very precise color, you need to know what it looks like when it's dry, not when it's wet. For example, I'd say it more for the cheaper brand, it will happen. Like this, it says Scarlet Red, but it's pink. It has nothing to be as, oh, it's not, yes, it's Scarlet Red. Um, so to know that, and if someone tells you I want a bright red and you're like Scarlet Red is the best, well, no. It don't just look at the bottle or the name to justify which color you're gonna choose. You see, when you let it dry by itself, it's flat, there's no texture, there's no line. When you dry it with a tool, in this case, the dust blower, it will create little line in it depending where you're pushing. I want to add more isopropyl alcohol, and I'm gonna go and mix those two. I just want to show you, this is the second technique, blow ink, and mix with the blending one. So I'm just pushing. I want to show you how I push my ink. I go to the side. If I don't go to the side, it will splash everywhere. And now if I want to blend, I push from one side to the other and from one to the other. And look how beautiful. You do not have to use this. You could just tilt your paper and let it mix. Um, I like to do it with the dust blower. You're gonna get used to a certain technique. Very, very beautiful. I love blending colors. It always gives like surprise. So as you can see, I blow from the side. Now I'm gonna show you what it does if I blow from right on top. Let's go here. I'm gonna wait a second. It's gonna reactivate the ink. If I go right away, there's chance it's gonna stay like a lot. It's just stick there, which is not bad. It's just good to know. Okay, if I go right on top and very rough and I push, it gives me all those spikes, all those little spikes. So you see this one doesn't really have spikes. It's because I went gently and push inside. If I push from the inside out, then it gives me those little spikes. Now let's create some soft edge. We did the blending and let's go right here. It's gonna be it's a nice edge to work and make it softer. So I put my alcohol, my isopropyl alcohol. So I put my isopropyl alcohol on the outer edge of my ring. And I push it a little bit inside. And I'm gonna wait a few seconds just so it lift the ink and it activated it. And once I've waited a little bit, I'm gonna keep pushing a little bit out and mostly in. Here it seems that it's already dry. So now it created a nice edge that goes like inside. I'm gonna do it again, okay? Just so you can see. I'll do it right here with the blue. But this time I'm gonna move the ink I'm just gonna create the space where I want the ink to go. When I use my brush, what it does is like right now I created the space. I created like I moved the ink that was wet, not the ink, the isopropyl alcohol that was wet, and I moved it where I want it to go. Normally it will stay more into boundaries when I do that, into the boundaries that I've set. Otherwise it can kind of go a little bit everywhere. So see, now we completely remove the edge and it creates a nice fade. The pink here, the blue here. Okay, now let's create a cell. A cell is just like a cell. Okay, so let's create a cell. We're gonna go and I'm gonna start with creating a cell right here with my dropper directly on it. One drop like this. Okay, what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna make sure my brush is clean. Let's switch hands. I'm gonna clean my brush. Okay, it's mostly clean. And now I'm gonna put one drop here. I'm gonna make sure my brush is completely loaded with that isopropyl. And now I'm gonna splash where I want the cells. When I do it this way, it's gonna give tiny cells. When I do with the dropper, it's gonna give a way bigger cell. So if you look now, you see that big circle here. It pushed the ink out. Here, can you see? Oh, you can see very well in this one. You see all the little dots? Those are all my little splash. Now let's do one more thing. We do the cells, but what if we want a little drop on the side? Let's do it blue. And I'm gonna add a drop so it's not too dark. So there's two ways. I can cover, let's say I don't want those drop to be on top. No, this wasn't dry. Let's say I don't want my drop on this one. So I cover and I can go around. And I just take it off after. And if I don't want that, I want it everywhere. And I just go for it and go everywhere. So those are the technique. Now, you have a paper that probably look like nothing. What do you do with that? So you can create bookmark. And for bookmark, you will put your design. You will just keep going and create those splash of color everywhere. You want to fill up your paper. I have a tutorial on how I make my bookmark. The Nara paper is amazing for that. It's very sturdy. It's really cool to create bookmark with those because it's plasticky. It will last for a while. The other thing is, if you don't want it, then you take your paper, you take your isopropyl, and you erase. Simply, you just cover and it will erase. This is really the beauty of alcohol ink. You can erase everything. You're gonna need clean paper to go back on top and on top, but you'll be able to erase everything. Sometimes the pink will be a little more difficult to remove. So what you do for that one, ooh, just drop alcohol. You put isopropyl alcohol directly on the paper and you just let it stand a little bit. Don't erase it right away. But now I'm just doing a part of it so you can see. See how clean this is? It's like new. It's very clean and you can do that on the entire paper. And you have a new paper and you can start again. So don't feel like you have to throw your paper. You can do bookmark with the leftover. Oh, I also have a tutorial on a necklace. You can do a little necklace with part. If there's a part you really like, just keep it. You can do something beautiful with it. One more thing I wanted to show you how to use the gold. It's not in the starter guide because I feel if you keep it very basic, it shouldn't be part of it, but it's so fun to use. This step is first you always mix your bottle very, very well because all the glitter will stay at the bottom. I'm using piñata. If you look, this is the gold piñata brass. You see all the liquid in it. It's very important to mix very, very well. Okay, so let's go back here. I'm gonna choose a purple. What you can do is, let's start with this so you can see. I start with my isopropyl. I'll put 1 drop of color, and now you'll see it's gonna go all around the isopropyl alcohol. Now that I've mixed that, I'm putting my gold on top, and then you can go and push it around, and you see it's gonna be, oh, it's so beautiful. Something you can do, let's say you want that color that I've created when I blended, you can use a little cup and put the 2 color, like a drop of each, directly in it, and then put your isopropyl alcohol in it, and then just drop your cup directly. And if you want gold, then you put the gold on top. I also have, if you're not sure about the piñata gold, the bottle I have is really big, but I mean they sell tiny ones, so you can buy the smaller one. I do have the Kamenskaya. I don't really like it. It gives a very different effect. Like the piñata, they really got their recipe right. It gives that shimmery, it gives those lines. It just creates really beautiful, beautiful effect. Okay, what can you do with those technique? Well, you can do a lot, but first have fun. Go have fun, go play with the colors. So there's another video following this one, is the part 2. So go look it up. And that part 2 is what can we do with those techniques? So we do, I love flowers. So I've made flowers with those 5 technique. The only thing that we didn't play with is the marker, but it's a simple line with a marker. You could do it with your ink. Actually, let's do a line. I'm gonna use a navy right here. By the way, this is parchment paper, but you can use, you can totally use those, right? So I'm gonna dip my brush in it, very, very little, and I will just go and create a line. I did not dilute this one. And you can practice, try to make it in one shot. There you go. You can practice. So the brush is a good alternative to the marker. I realized there's one thing I have not talked about, and it's when I use my brush. This is something I am using a lot in general, so I want to make sure you guys understand what I'm doing, because for the flower project, it's going to be extremely useful. So I'm going to start just putting a few drops on my paper. But there's one thing I haven't talked about, and it's my use of the brush with my alcohol ink. I've done it a little bit for the lines, but other than that, it's a technique that I am using a lot in general. So I just want to do like a quick little what I'm doing when I use my brush, how I use it. Now, my brush is kind of dry. If I just go over, it's not gonna do anything, okay? So what I want, I'm gonna use a few drops on my paper. I'm gonna load my brush with it. And I'm gonna give the shape I want. Let's say, okay, Valentine's Day is coming. I want a heart. I know it's cheesy. I'm gonna put some, and what I've done right now is I created the heart, with my brush that is full of alcohol ink. And by giving it the shape, it will help keep my ink structured inside of those boundaries that I just created. You need to be careful not to put too much ink, but right now it's not dry. So I'm gonna dry it, and you'll see it's kind of, I'm going from the outside, of course, because if I go from the inside out, it's gonna bleed out. But you can create shape when you use your brush. And that's how I create like flower petals. I use that a lot. I love to give shapes. Also, I will use it. Let's say I'm working on something and there's that line here I don't like. I will load my brush. You need to make sure it's the right color, okay? Because right now you see it's starting to be blue. If I don't want the blue in my colors, I really need to be careful about that. And I can go and rework the line that I want to do if I don't like anything about it. Just remember, as long as it's wet, it's gonna work very well. As soon as it starts drying, you're gonna start seeing the lines of your brush. As it's drying, you'll see the brush stroke, as opposed as if it dries by itself or with this, it's gonna be smoother. So I just wanted to go through that, have fun. This is a very small brush and it's just very, I think I took it at Michael's. It's nothing fancy. It says 20 on zero, Royal and Lang nickel. So we're done with all 5 techniques. If you have any question, you please let me know. I'll be happy to answer you. You'll find those 5 techniques in the starter guide of alcohol ink. The starter guide is on my website. The link will be below. It's a simple download. And yeah, that's about it. And I'll see you next time.